Good morning. This is Cecil and Blues. Thank you for joining me for this Final Fantasy XIV video. I am here today to summarize Live Letter 33, which aired on November 25th. Before we get started, allow me to apologize. I have a fantastic winter cough. The longer I talk, the more I cough, the more I cough, the more I have to edit. So I'm going to rush this just a little bit. The title of patch 3.5 is The Far Edge of Fate. The key word, according to Yoshi P, is edge. Does this mean the Prince of Eblon will make an appearance, or does it mean the Warrior of Light is going to try and hold back an orgasm? I'd say 50-50 odds on either or. There will be new main story quests, as well as what we can assume is the conclusion to some of the side stories in Heaven's Ward, with new quests in the Warring Triad, the Scholasticate, Hildibrand, and the Anima weapons series. Special note was made that the 3.45 Anima weapon quest was easy according to player feedback, in such a way that implied that the 3.5 quest could be unpleasant, which I grumble about because none of the relic weapon quests have ever been hard, just time consuming. I've never found that to be fun or rewarding, so I don't know. Hopefully the 3.5 quest won't be miserable. There will be two new dungeons in patch 3.5. The story dungeon is Belsair's Wall, the Garlean Gate in the East Shroud. This is the way to the expansion, so I expect it to be a pretty dramatic set piece. That will lose all meaning when we've run it 1,000 times for expert roulette while waiting for the expansion. The second dungeon is Som All Hard. Yoshi P said that in this hard mode, we will be descending instead of ascending. I was a little bit unclear if this meant that we'd be coming in from the top, where the final boss originally was, and descending downwards back to the original start point, kind of like we did in Pharisirius hard mode, or if instead we're going to start from the same place and just go down deeper into the base of the mountain. There was only a couple of screenshots, so it was kind of hard to make sense of it, but, I don't know, I've been spending a lot of time in Somal recently trying to collect glamour gear that just refuses to drop, and I get the impression from party chat that it is not a well-liked dungeon. Hopefully this hard mode's reputation will be a bit better. We will get Heaven's Ward's third 24-person raid, Dun Scaith, the Fortress of Shadows. Yoshi P said that this is the third entry in the Mahawk series and suggested that it would not be the end of the story, at least not completely, and said that there would be more information to come in Live Letter 34. I would speculate that it will set up our next Alliance raid for Stormblood. Today he only promised that this raid would be elaborate, with the first boss taking place on an airship that has unstable ground, and promised other exciting mechanics for each area. In the Warring Triad series, we will be facing Zurvan the Demon in both normal and extreme modes. The story should be wrapped up with the associated quests. Concept art for the boss was included. I should be able to cut that in without too much of a disruption in what I'm using for B-roll. A new feature, I don't know if it has an official name, neither the fan translation nor the official translation referred to it, but the Wondrous Tales Girl? Apparently she has a sister whose name is Zoe? Zoli? Sloey? It's spelt Z-H-L-O-E. Pronounce it how you want, I guess. She has something for adventurers to do just like her sister does. Our goal will be to raise the satisfaction level with specific NPCs by handing over requested crafting and gathering items, with a focus on this new NPC right now, but there was a comment that they may start adding older NPCs, people we may recognize. The rewards will be mostly glamour items, that this feature is entirely focused on providing players with new glamour items. Hopefully, this will also operate as some sort of a bank for glamour items, because I sure as heck don't have any more space in my inventory. They said that this would be introduced in 3.5 and expanded in 3.55, and then expanded further into the future. Personally, I hope that the entire system does not entirely revolve around attempting to satisfy underage girls. That particular word choice weirds me the hell out. Can we just all agree to call it reputation? Next is an updated feature, Exploratory Missions. The existing diadem will be locked at the start of patch 3.5 due to some cataclysmic event. Shortly after the release of 3.5, I would assume prior to the release of 3.55, it will reopen with mostly the same map, but restricted boundaries. You will have to queue for either hunting or gathering missions. The original design was to have players decide how to enjoy the content for themselves, but that didn't shake out the way the team wanted it to, so now what they're going to do is introduce a more structured environment with defined objectives, and you will be rewarded for completing those objectives. Yoshi P mentioned new exciting boss fights that will cover the whole map, and tough enemies that will require multiple parties to tackle. More information will come in the next live letter. I've never personally been very interested in this content, but I hope that these changes improve the experience for the players who do participate in the diadem. The next updated feature is the Party Finder tool. It is being expanded to allow cross-server recruitment for most instanced content. The Aquapolis requires interaction in the field, so it will not be possible to do that for that instance. And also the Deep Dungeon and the Exploratory missions currently require interaction with an NPC, so it won't function in 3.5, though Yoshi P did indicate that it was something they plan to allow in the future. They just don't have the technology in place to make it happen right now. The Party Finder will also not apply to Gold Saucer related content. For all of those exceptions, you can use the same World tab to recruit players from your local server only. For all other content, you can use the All tab, and there should be no restrictions on other party settings. Party members will be able to communicate through party chat. There is currently no blacklist or friends lists for these expanded new players, but that should come in the future. Finally, you should be able to create a password-locked party to allow you to create some cross-server groups with friends, a rating static, that won't be infiltrated by strangers. The next item is PvP updates that are coming in 3.5. In Frontline, they are adding the ability to queue up without a Grand Company assignment. The team has always been concerned that this would be abused, but they are looking into adding new types of content in the next expansion, so prior to that they wanted to investigate player response to the removal of the Grand Company assignments. So, if you have feedback on this, make sure to give it to them. I don't do a lot of PvP, but I think this is one of the most requested features, so hopefully it works out well for everybody involved. The Feast will be getting some new maps, and chat will be disabled in the Feast, with party communication being replaced with Feast-specific hotbar auto-translate messages, and I am absolutely certain, none of those will be abused. They are also adding a level sync to the duels. The level sync will default to item level 150, and that matches the Feast's level sync. They will also be adding in the ability to sync your gear to the host's item level. Unsynced duels are still possible, and they are allowing all recast timers to reset at the start of a duel. And again, I've said before, I don't do a lot of PvP related stuff in Final Fantasy, but I have heard these requests going around, so I hope that the community is happy with the quick implementation of these, especially in the case of duels. And another updated feature. Did I say I was going to make this short? Damn you, Yoshi P, my voice, my beautiful, beautiful voice. The next updated feature is Chocobo Companions. It will be possible to register for the Duty Finder while your Chocobo Companion is present. Let me repeat that for you. it will be possible to register for the Duty Finder while your Chocobo companion is present. Chocobo companions will now appear as pets instead of party members, but there is no change to their strength or their behavior. Summoners will still be allowed to have their summoned pets as well as their Chocobo companion. This does mean that you can have up to 8 Chocobos present in a full party. This also means that a full 8-person party of summoners can be 8 players, 8 Chocobos, and 8 Edgies. This may trivialize some outdoor content, but I mean, I guess who cares, right? You can queue for a duty while your Chocobo companion is out. I can't understate this. This is amazing. What a great update. Alright, let's move on to something else that we're all very excited about. Next on the list, the edgy Glamour system. Promised and finally delivered. You will be able to alter the appearance of Garuda, Titan, and Ifrit with a series of text commands. Other players will be able to see the new appearance you set. The change will persist through logout, but it is locally saved, so if you play on a different machine, you will need to set it on that machine as well. You will also need to resummon the Edgy to see the change. So if you make a change to an Edgy you currently have out, just resummon it and you will see the change. Currently, you will only be able to change the Edgy's appearance to one of 3 types of Carbuncle, but other Edgy appearances will be added in the future. I don't think they said so, but I would expect UI improvements to show up as well as time goes on. It feels like the system wasn't quite done, but since they promised it before 4.0, they had to deliver. The system is in place for the future inclusion of Edgies based on other primals, which is way more interesting to me than color shifts of existing models. Who knows if they'll follow through on that? It is... well, it's not cheap to build new character models and then animate them for combat. But what do you figure? Are there more summoners who would use this feature, or are there more players who have ever, even once, played a single game of Lord of Verminion? The last new feature covered in Live Letter 33 is the Novice Network, an expansion on the Mentor system with the primary focus on providing a network of support for returning players who are over level 50. So this would mostly be focusing on players who maybe stopped playing at max level in 2.0 and are now coming back to 3.0, or stopped playing after reaching max level in 3.0 and haven't been around for the intervening patches. I think it's a good fit. I think those type of players really need some guidance as to what they need to do to catch up, or what new features exist that are interesting, that they would have a lot of fun with. They also mentioned new painting furnishings related to the sightseeing logs, and the ability to preview item colors in the equipment screen. I'm still waiting for the ability to preview multiple items at the same time, but I guess we can't all get what we want. The first part of the Far Edge of Fate patch 3.5 will be available in mid-January, with Part 2, patch 3.55, to be expected in March, with the implication that they would delay it if they felt like it made sense to delay it so that there was less of a gap between 3.55 and the release of 4.0. Personally, I don't think that makes sense. I think that 3.55 should be related to 3.5s. Like, I think that gap is more important than the gap leading up to the expansion. You have plenty of excitement to keep people logged in, to keep people invested. As you lead up to an expansion, you tend to get a lot of returning players, so communities start to build back up again. I think that it's less important to worry about a lack of content, a dearth of content leading up to the expansion, than it is to worry about a slowdown in content, a slowdown in momentum between 3.5 and 3.55. Now, on the other hand, if they expand further what's going to be in 3.55, they're not going to, though. They're working on expansion, so I can't imagine that they'd squeeze more content in. It's not like it's different teams. It's everybody working together, so I think they should keep that gap mid-January to March, and then March to whenever it's done. I don't want them to rush out the expansion. If it takes an extra month, it takes an extra month. But we'll learn more about this patch and the expansion in the next live letter, which is going to happen at the Japanese Fan Festival at the end of December. And thanks to this cough, I'm thinking about drinking an entire bottle of NyQuil and just waking up at the end of December, so maybe I won't even have to wait too long before I record my next video. It's like time travel. I hope you have had a good holiday weekend, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, you can subscribe to the channel to be notified when new videos are posted, and you can also follow me on Twitter at itsboats and see other nonsense I talk about. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now because my voice is getting quite raspy, and I've had to really strain it to get this out. I'm sure you've noticed that my voice is a little bit higher pitched than normal. That's because I'm shouting. So, have a great day.